Trumpets, hope you're staying warm on this cold week. We're going to jump right in and do what we always do before we start playing. We're going to do some warming up on just our mouthpiece. Remember, we're trying to get some different pitches, and if you can, start learning to do that siren sound where we go low to high. I'm changing my air and my opening and my buzz, really firming up, pushing a lot of air to get that upper sound out. Once we do our good warm up with just our mouthpiece, then we're going to do our warming up with our trumpet, our long tones. Remember that is 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 in your book if you want to look. And just play some good long tones before we get started. I'm not going to do that with you every week. I will just have you pause your video and take that time right now to warm up with just your mouthpiece and then with your long tones. Okay, this week we're going to focus on page 6 and some of the things on page 6. At the top, you should notice it reviews your 5 notes that we've learned, and then it introduces number 14, Rolling Along. You probably know this one better as Mary Had a Little Lamb. Same tune, just different words if you were singing it. You will notice also that we start going more note to note with not as many rests. And this one has 2 lines. So just like reading a book, when you get to the end of the first line, you go right down to the second line without stopping. I'm going to get my metronome set and do this one so that you can play along after you practiced it and you're ready to play it at my tempo. I'm remembering all the things from before. I'm holding my instrument correctly. I'm only putting my fingertips on the buttons and on the instrument. It's straight out from my face. I have a good M with my mouth. My corners are back, and I'm using plenty of air. Here's number 14, Rolling Along. At the end of that was the double bar. That tells you that the song is over. Now, I hope you noticed I went note to note. My air kept moving. I just interrupted it with my tongue. My tongue was hitting the back of my teeth. 2, 2, 2, 2. You may not be able to get the 7 notes in one breath to start with. If you've got to grab a breath, that's okay. But just make sure that we are playing at least 4 notes before we have to take a breath. Keep your ear moving, just interrupt it with your tongue. Okay, now it introduces half notes. Half notes look like quarter notes, but they're not filled in. You probably remember all of this from music class. They get 2 counts, and the half rest looks similar to the whole rest, but the half rest sits on the line like a hat. That's how I like to remember them. Half note or half rest looks like a hat. Half hat. If you look at number 17, Hot Cross Buns, probably another tune you know. You maybe got to it on recorders or you've sung it in music class, but you already probably know this tune. This is when it gets fun. You start playing songs that you already know. It's awesome. Hot cross buns introduces those half notes. We don't change anything. We just blow our notes for 2 counts and then interrupt them with our tongue. You have 3 half notes to start hot cross buns, E, D, and C. Hopefully you get a nice big breath and you'll be able to do all 3 of those in one breath. The good thing about hot cross buns, it only takes 3 notes. You will only be using E, D, and C. And if you remember, we don't pick up vowels and then put them back down. We just switch from note to note. So I'm starting 1 and 2, E, then I just flip these out to get to D, let them go for C, okay? Don't do that and pick them up and put them back down, okay? Note to note, keep using the vowels that are in common. Okay, I'm going to put a play along on here just like with rolling along, so when you are ready that you can play along with me. Here's hot cross buns. So did you hear how I went one note to the next without any space or any pauses in between? Yeah, you're gonna have to get some good breaths to get those 3 half notes in one breath. Then when you get to your quarter notes, make sure you're getting a good T sound on each of those. Two, 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 two. Keep your ear moving, just interrupt them with your tongue hitting your teeth. So those are the 2 that I really want you to focus on this week. Rolling along and hot cross buns. If you get those really good and you can do the play along with me without making any mistakes, go ahead and you can look ahead to Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Go Tell Aunt Rhody is probably the most challenging on the page. First of all, it's using all 5 of our notes. It's jumping around a little bit more, and you'll notice that there aren't any rests in it. We're going to go note to note to note all the way to the very end. If you look at the end, you will notice it looks different than that double bar, doesn't it? It has those 2 dots. That's a repeat sign. So that means we're going to do it twice. I will go ahead and put it on as a play along. So when you're ready, if you want to try it, you can. It's not an assignment for this week. It's just something a little bit extra. And I will do that repeat. So we will play through it 2 times. Here's Go Tell Aunt Rhody. Not an assignment for this week, just something a little bit extra if you get really good at your rolling along and your hot cross buns. Otherwise, we're going to do that one next week. So this week, good warm up, work on rolling along, and hot cross buns. And I look forward to seeing your videos of rolling along and hot cross buns.